Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. In today's video, we are diving into some powerful object-based challenges in JavaScript. Mastering objects is crucial for coding interviews, real-world projects, and writing clean, efficient code. Here we will cover essential concepts like merging two objects, finding common keys and values, converting object to arrays, swapping keys and values, checking if all values are numeric, removing duplicates, summing up the values, and much more. These challenges will enhance the problem solving skills and help us to tackle the JavaScript interview questions with more confidence. So grab the notebook, code along, and let's explore these exciting object-based problems together. And if you get stuck anywhere, please drop a comment. I am here to help, guys. Also, don't forget to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe for more coding challenges. And let's get started with our first question. And the first challenge is merging two objects in JavaScript. This will be very super useful for combining data and managing object properties more effectively. So let's jump into today's challenge and open up our VS Code. So if you see in the VS Code, the question is already mentioned. What is the question? Write a JavaScript function that merges two objects combining all their properties, right? So let us break down this question. So what is the important part here? That we have to write a JavaScript function. So I'll take here and I will put it over here. After that, what is the important part here? That we have to merge two objects combining all their properties, right? So we will come here and we will write here that as well, okay? Now, since this function is related to merging the two objects, so what we will do, we will come here and we will define a function name with the merge objects, okay? So we'll come here and I'll just put it over here and I will bring this together and we will write here object OS capital, okay? And with a parenthesis. Now in the line number 4, we have written merges two object combining all their properties. This is what this function is going to do, right? What approach we are going to follow here is we have something called as a spread operator, right? So we are going to use this spread operator. Okay, now what does the spread operator do and what is the syntax? So syntax of a spread operator is what? 3 dots, okay? Now what does it does? If I have to talk about with respect to object, it will spread the properties of the object. It will spread what? It will spread all the properties of an object. So this is what it will do. Now here, suppose I take an example, okay? Suppose I will take an example of a two objects. So I will put here A:1 and B:30 and then another object I will take C:56 and D:45. Okay, this is just an example. Now what we are going to do here is, now this is two objects, correct? Now we have to merge this object. So how our final output should be, if I have to tell you the output of this, it has to be something like this. A:1, B:30, comma, then we will put this object properties as well. So C:56 and D:45. This should be our final output. This is what this question is expecting from us. Now, how we are going to do this, okay? So then in the spread operator, it provides something like you can come here and you will put a single object in this and then you will spread it out. So 3 dots and you will put your first object, then 3 dots and you will put your second object. This is what we are going to do here is. Now, if I have to explain you what it is happening here is, now initially when we are doing this, it is going to construct a new object. What does it constructs a new object? When it constructs a new object, initially that object is empty, okay? Initially what happens, that object is what? Empty. So since that object is empty, then what will happen? When we are putting this and we are spreading out the elements, it will go and it will spread out the properties of that object into a new object. Got it? What it is going to do initially, whenever we are doing this, okay, it is going to construct a new object, okay? It is going to construct a new object. Now, when it is going to construct a new object, the new object is empty, okay? So what it does, the spread operator spreads the properties of this object into the new object. Got it? And in the next phase, again, it will find out this, correct? Again, it will spread out the properties of object 2 and it will put it in our new object. So this is what it is going to do. First of all, it will construct a new object, and that object which is being constructed, that will be an object, will be an empty. So this object, when it encounters, it will spread out the properties and it will put it into that new object. Again, it will encounter this, it will spread out the properties of that object and it will spread out into new object, right? Then the final object, what will happen now, we will get here as a final object. That final object will hold everything. So the resultant will come like this. The resultant will come what? It will come like this. So this is what this particular line is going to do. If we write it, it does so many things. It constructs a new object. Then it will encounter our object 1 with a 3 dots, that is with a spread operator. So it will spread it out and it will put it into a new object. Again, it will encounter. Then again, it will spread it out into a new object. So this is what it is going to do. So now how we will proceed with this? So we will come here and we will write a function called as a merge object, the function which we have discussed here, right? So we'll come here and we will put it over here and quickly we will invoke this as well. So we'll come here and we will write here what? Merge objects, okay? And we are going to pass the same object from here as well, okay? So what we will do, we will take it here and we will pass it here like this directly, okay? So A:1, B:30, and in a new another object, C:56, D:45. This is what we are going to do, okay? And now let us come here and let us receive here what? obj1, obj2 like this, okay? And let us just console it and test it out, okay? Whether we are able to receive it or not. So obj1, obj2. Directly we will write here and let us test it here. So today's challenge is day 21. So I will write here node 21 challenge question, and you will see here we get this particular object very correctly here. That means this function has been successfully executed, okay? Now what we will do here is we will come here and we will declare one variable which will hold our object. So we'll come here and we will write here just like a merge, okay? So we'll declare it like this. And what we will do, we will come here and we will put our object, okay? And we will put with a spread operator. So triple dot obj1 and then comma triple dot obj2. Okay, we'll come here and after that, let us come here and console this, okay? So console.log, we will come here and we will do merged, okay? And now once again, let us test it here. Node day 21 challenge. So we'll come here and if you can see, we are successfully able to get this. You can see the resultant is almost the same. We have got it here, right? It is the same. A:1, B:30, C:56 and D:45. And it is inside one object, right? So what we have done, we are able to get this by writing just this. So what we have done, we have created an empty object and in that we have passed this. So when you write this, what it is happening, it is constructing a new object and that new object is initially empty. So when it encounters, what it does, it spread out the properties and put it into your new object. Again, it will come here and it will spread out the properties and it will put it into the same object. Why? Because we are putting inside this flower braces. Flower braces are the symbol of our object, right? This is how we define it. How do we define an object? We define an object with a curly braces, right? So this is what we do, right? And now let us come here and comment our line number 15 and we will just improvise our console by writing here as merged object. So I'll write here just as a merged object with a colon I will write here and let us put a space here. And let us once again clear the terminal and let us run it one more time. If you see here, you get here what? Merged object as this. So this is what we are passing from here and we are able to get it. You can put another example and you can do as well. So if we come here and if I write here a merged object and if I put here x:67 and we can write here y:89 and then let us define another object. Suppose let me write here as a name as a object, okay, and another one let us write here as a g:90. Now let us just test this one more time. We will come here and we will write it over here so you get it both of them, right? So what we are able to do, get it here, merged object x:67, y:89, name as object and g is 90. So we are able to get it. Even if we are passing it like this in a string, it is going to accept it and it is going to come here and give it as a output. Correct? So once again, let us recap this, okay? This was very simple, but this was very tricky, guys. How we merge our two objects, okay? That was a very important part here, okay? So if you want to pass one more object, pass it from here and just you have to come here and put comma and 3 dots obj3. That's it, okay? This is what we are going to do. Here right now, I have shown you merging a two object. You can, with this, you can merge n number of objects, okay? But just you have to make sure you're passing it inside this, okay? So let us come back to this question and let us revise it once again. Let us have a recap on this. So what it was been asked, we have to merge the two objects, right? Combining all their properties, correct? So we have declared here a function name that is a merge object. We have defined our function name as this and we are using a spread operator to achieve it, right? Spread operator syntax is triple dots. It is going to spread the properties of an object, right? So this was our example which we have took and we wanted this as a resultant, right? So we have to pass it like this in an object. What it does, it is going to construct a new object. Initially that object is empty and when as soon as you write it, it encounters with a spread operator. It will spread the properties and it is going to put it into that object. Similarly here as well. After that it will encounter this and it is encountering with a spread operator. It is going to put it inside that object, okay? So we defined here function called as a merged object and same thing we have written here. We have just improvised our console.log by writing a merged object as and here we are getting the merged value. So here is the function invocation. Once again, let us come here and clear the terminal and let us run it one more time. If we see we are able to get it in a proper way for both the test cases, right? So if you want, you can try it out with the different test cases and you can try it out with more than two objects as well. It is going to work that as well. Let's move to our next challenge and this challenge is finding the common keys and their values in two objects. This problem will help us to sharpen our skills with object manipulation and comparison in JavaScript, okay? So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, we have here our question along with the sample input and output, right? So what is the question? We have to write a JS function to find the common keys and their values in two objects, right? And here we have been provided with the two objects and for that, this is the output, okay? So first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to break this question. So I will write here what JS function, okay? And in the next line, we are going to write the next important part of the question. That is what we have to find here what common keys and their values in two objects, right? So let us put it over here. Now let us come back at line number 9 and we will define our function name, okay? So we will keep here function name as what? Find common keys values with a parenthesis, okay? So this will be our function name, okay? So let us come here and we will understand first our input and output, okay? So we have been provided with two objects. In that we have a key value pair, right? That is A:B, B:2, C:3, right? And in the next object, what do we have? B:2, C:3 and D:4, right? So if you see here in both of them, what is common? B:2 and C:3, right? Because this is here as well and here also you have the same. So that is where you are getting the exact output as what? B:2 and C:3, right? So this is your output. And now we will come down and we will write here our approach to achieve that particular output, okay? And in this question, we are going to use what? Loop itself, okay? But not our normal for loop we are going to use. We are going to use our for in loop, okay? So whenever we are working with an object, we will be using for in loop, okay? And this I have told you in my previous challenges also. Whenever we are doing an iteration for an object, let us use a for in loop, okay? Now what we will do here is we are going to write our for in loop. So I will write here what? For let key in our obj. So whatever is your object, you are going to write here. What is the key? Key is nothing but A, B, and C. This is called as a key, right? A, B, C. So for this particular input, what will be the key? A, B, and C. For this particular input, what will be the key? B, C, and D, okay? And what is the value? 1, 2, and 3. Here, 2, 3, and 4, right? So that is what is a key and a value. So we are writing here what? let key in obj, okay? And after that, we will be writing here what? Parenthesis. So what is our key? If I have to tell you, key is nothing but what? A comma B comma C, okay? For this particular first obj. So A comma B comma C for our first obj, and for the second obj, what will be the key? It will be nothing but B comma C comma D, okay? So we are going to use here loop to iterate through all the keys of our first object. That is what we are going to do it, okay? So this is our normal for in loop I have written. Now let us come down and we will write our for in loop with respect to our this question, okay? So for let key in obj1, okay? So we are going to iterate through our obj1, okay? And in this flower braces, we are going to write the logic to find the common keys and values in two objects, okay? Now, what will be the logic we are going to write here? Now, this key, right? We are using this key, right? So this key will help us to do that, okay? So for each key, we are going to check if it exists in our second obj or not, okay? So this particular key is what? It is of obj1, right? And we are going to check that it is existing in our obj2 or not. So I will just write here what? Check existence in obj2, okay? Let me write it like this, okay? Once it is found, then we are going to proceed ahead, okay? So this we have to check. So first of all, for this, what we are going to use? We are going to use a method, okay? That is known as what? Has own property, and to that we are going to pass a key. Let me write it over here, okay? So I'll write here what? Has own, and I'll write here what? Property, okay? And to this we are going to pass a key, okay? Now what does it do? It checks whether that specific property is existing in that object or not. And if it is existing, it is going to give you true. And if it is not, then it is going to return you what? False. So if you see, it is returning what? Boolean values, okay? And how we are going to use it here? We will be using what? obj1 dot has on property, and we will pass our key to it, okay? Then we will write here what? obj2 dot has on property, and we will pass a key to it, okay? So this is what we are going to do. And here we are going to check the existence of that key in our object. If it exists, it is going to give me what? True, okay? And if it is not, then it is going to give me false. So depending upon the availability of the key, or we can say depending upon the availability of the property in our object, it is going to give me true or false, okay? So this is our first check, okay? So I will come here and I will write here what? First check, okay? Now let us go for the second check, okay? So I will write here what? Second check, okay? Now in the second check, what we are going to do? We are going to compare, okay? How and what we are going to compare? We are going to compare our obj1 of key should be is equal to our obj2 of key, okay? This is what we are going to check. And depending upon our key, we are going to get true and false, right? So that also I will write it over here. So this will be our second check. Now how we are going to write it? We will be writing it using our if condition, okay? So I will write it using our if condition and our AND operator, okay? So this too, we are going to use it and we are going to do it. So how we are going to write it? We are going to write if our obj1 dot has on property, and we will pass our key to it, okay? If this, okay, and we will use here AND operator, and we will write here what? Our obj2, okay, dot has on property, and then we will pass this also, okay, to this itself. So we will come here and we will use one more AND operator here. So I will write it like this, and with the space we are going to write it like this, okay? So this will be our final condition which we are going to write it, okay? So that is what I said. To achieve this, we have to do a double check here. So first check whether that key is existing or not, and then we are going to compare it, okay? So if this condition turns out to be true, how it is going to come true? it's all the condition here has to be met because we have used here and operator. If any of the condition turns out to be false, then further execution will not happen. So that is why here, if all the conditions are met and it is going to give me output as true, then what we will do, we will add the key and its value to a new object. Okay, so I will write it here. What if this condition turns out to be true, then what we are going to do, we are going to add our key and its value to a empty object, or we can say to a new object. Okay, so for that we will have to create also, right? So in the beginning itself, we will come here and we will create an object called as a common keys. Okay, and we will initialize with an empty object. Okay, that is what we are going to do. So if this condition turns out to be true, what we are doing, we are going to add a key and a value to a new object, correct? And then finally we are going to print that new object. That is nothing but our common keys. Okay, so let me write it here. So this object we are going to print it, and we will have that object containing all the common keys and values. Okay, and that is what this question is asking from us. Okay, we have to print what, or we have to show it in the console, a object that is containing all the common keys and their values. That is what you can see here in the output. 74 challenge, and we will hit enter. What do we got? We got our both the objects printed in our console, right? Now let us come here and we will declare here our empty object. Why empty object? Because we have to store our common keys and their values, right? So I will write here what? Same name, common keys here, and we will initialize it as an empty object. Okay, so that is what we have done. Now let us come down and we will write our for in loop. Okay, so that it can iterate through all the keys in our object 1. Okay, that is what we said here also. We are going to iterate in our object 1, correct? So let us come here and let us write that here. So I will write here what? For let key in our obj1, right? And I will show you what is the key now. Okay, so let me just console it here. So I will write here what? Console.log of key. Okay, let me write it here. And let us clear the terminal, and I will write here what? Node day 74 challenge, and we will hit enter. If you see, what do we got? We got here A, B, and C. That means nothing but it is our keys, right? So that is what we are getting here. Okay, now let us come down and we will check that if the key exists in our obj2 and their values are same or not. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to write this our if condition. Okay, so let us write here what? If, and we are going to write here what? Obj1 dot has own property, right? So let us write here has own property, and in this we are going to pass our key, right? Then our AND operator, and then with our obj2 also, I will write it like this, and here also I'm going to pass it our key and then our comparison check, right? That is what we have done here. So again, our AND operator we will write here, and then we are going to write what? Our obj1 of key is equal to obj2 of our key, right? That is what, and now just we will check whether it is turning out to be true or not. Okay, so I will write here what? Console.log of true. Okay, now let us come here in the terminal and we will just test it out. So I will write here what? Node day 74 challenge, and we will hit enter. If you see here in the input and output, what is the object 1? It is nothing but A:1, B:2, C:3, right? And what is our object 2? B:2, C:3, and D:4, right? So in both of them, where is the common key and value pair? We have for B:2 and C:3, right? Here also for B:2 and C:3. That is where in the output we have how many key and value pair? Only 2. That is nothing but B:2 and C:3. That is where you are getting here. For B key is true and for C key is true, right? That is where we are getting it here. Okay. So now we will come down, and what we will do, we will add our common key value pair to the new object. Okay, so we will write how? We will write here common keys, and in the square bracket we are going to write our key is equal to, then we will write here what? obj1 of key, okay? And then after that, we are just going to console our common keys, okay? So let us come here and we will write here what? console.log, and we will write here what? common keys, okay? Now let us clear the terminal and we will rerun it. So I will write here what? Node day 74 challenge, and we will hit enter. If you see, you got here what? B:2 and C:3. That was what it was expected from us, right? This was our final output, right? So now let us come down and we will just uncomment our other console.log statements. So line number 37, line number 40, and then line number 42 also we will comment it out, okay? Now let us clear the terminal and we will rerun it. So I will write here what? Node day 74 challenge, and we will hit enter. I got B:2 and C:3, right? That is what we were passing here, and we have done the further execution, right? Now we can just invoke it with another objects also. So we can write here what? Find common key values. And in this, let us write here what? Z:20, okay? And then I will write F:80, okay? And now we will put here flower braces one more, and we will write here what? F:80. Now let us see what do we get in the terminal. So I will write here what? Node day 74 challenge, and hit enter. You got here what? F:80. So even if 1 is there, it is going to give me the exact output, okay? So this is what this question was demanding from us, and we have successfully achieved as well, okay? So now let us have a quick recap of this particular question, okay? So let us come above and we will read out our question. So what we have to write? We have to write a JavaScript function to find the common keys and their values in the two objects, right? They have given here the two objects, that is nothing but obj1 and obj2, right? And we have here our output, okay? And then at line number 9 and 10, what we did, we just wrote here the important part of our questions, right? And also we defined our function name as what? Find common keys and values, right? That is what was our function name, right? Then we understood how we are reaching to this particular output, right? And for that, we have written our approach also. So in this, we used a loop, right? But we did not use our normal traditional for loop. We used here what? Foreign loop, okay? This foreign loop is best used in our object cases, okay? That is why we have used it, okay? Then we have understood that how a normal foreign loop is written, right? At line number 15. For let key in obj, correct? And then we wrote it with respect to this particular question, right? So for let key in our obj1, right? And this key is nothing but what? It is nothing but, here we have seen, right? A, comma, B, comma, C, and B, comma, C, comma, D, right? That is what is our key, right? Now, why we are doing it? We have to check here that if this key is existing in our second object or not, okay? And if the values are same, then we are going to proceed ahead. So for that, what we did here, we did a double check. First of all, we used one method that is called as what? Has on property method, and we were passing the key to it. So this has on property method is going to return us what? A Boolean value, okay? So it is going to return a Boolean value after checking if an object has a specific property or not, okay? So once that checking is done, then we are going to compare, right? And this checking has to be performed in our both the objects, right? That is what we have written. And here then we came down and we did a comparison check also, that our obj1 of key should be is equal to our obj of 2 key, right? That is what we have done. And that also is going to return us a Boolean value. So at the end of the day, it is going to return us what? True or false itself, right? Because it is a comparison check, right? So after that, what we are going to do, we will be using our if condition along with our AND operator, so that we will make compulsion that all our condition has to be true, then only you have to do the further execution, right? So that is what did. And after this condition is turning out to be true, we are going to add our key and its value to a new object, right? And for that, we are going to declare a new object, right? That will be an empty object, correct? And then finally, that new object, we are going to print it because it is going to hold our respective keys and their values, right? So that is what we are going to do it, and this is what we understood, right? And then the same thing we wrote inside our function also, correct? Then at line number 36, we came down and we wrote our function name, right? That is nothing but find common keys values, and here we were passing obj1 and obj2 as in params, right? Then we just consoled and we tested here, and we created here our empty object, right? Then we wrote here our foreign loop, and inside that we did our comparison check, right? And then finally we added our common key and a value pair to a new object, right? And then at line number 46, we printed, okay? And then at line number 49 and 50, we wrote the same input which was written above. And then at line number 49 and 50, we just wrote the same input which were being provided to us for obj1 and obj2. And we passed it over here in the function, right? And we got our output here, correct? Then we invoked it one more time and we passed here another two objects and we tested in our terminal, right? So we will clear it up and we will see it once again. So I will write here what? Node day 74 challenge, and we will hit enter. So this is what it was expecting, and we have done here the same thing, right? Now I'll tell you why this challenge is useful. Object manipulation is a fundamental skill in JavaScript, and by solving this challenge, you will practice comparing object properties, working with the loops, and using conditional statements effectively, guys. It's a great exercise for improving your understanding of JavaScript objects. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is all about to convert an object into an array of keys and an array of values. So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, we have here our question along with the sample input and output, right? So what is the question? Let's read out. We have to write a JS function that takes an object and convert it into an array containing two subarrays, right? So one for the keys and one for the values, correct? Now let us come down and see our input output also. So in input, what we have our object, and in output, what do we have? We have an array which is containing two subarrays, right? Now what we will do, first of all, we are going to break down this particular question, okay? So we are going to write here what? JavaScript function. So let us take this and we will put it over here, okay? After that, what is the next important part? That it is going to take an object and it is going to convert it into an array containing two subarrays, right? So that also let us put it over here, okay? Now, what do we understand by array containing two subarrays? That means there will be an array and inside that there will be two subarrays, okay? So that I am putting it over here. Now, in the first array, it is going to hold what? The keys, okay? So here we have written one array is for the keys. So let us take this and we will put it over here, okay? And after that, what is the second array? It is only for the values, okay? So let us take this and we will put it over here. So that is what we have to do. We have to create an array which will contain two subarrays. First array will contain the keys and second array will contain our values, okay? So now let us come to this input and output and we will understand how we are reaching to this output, okay? So if you see here, what do we have? We have A:1, B:2 and C:3, right? This is nothing but an object, okay? Now, if you see the output clearly, we have an array and inside that there are two subarrays, right? So this is the first array and this is the second array, right? So I can say this is our first subarray and this is our second subarray, right? So in the first subarray, we have here what? All the keys we have, that is A, B and C, right? And in the second subarray, we have all the values, that is nothing but 1, 2 and 3, right? So that is how we are reaching to this particular output, okay? Let us come down and let us write our approach, okay? So I will just write here approach, okay? In this question, we are going to use nothing but object methods, okay? Now, what methods we are going to use? We will be using object.keys, okay? So let me write it over here. And the another method is what? Object.values, okay? So these are the two methods which we are going to use it, okay? Now here, you can see here object.keys and object.values, okay? So the first method, that is object.keys, it is going to return what? It will return an array of keys, okay? And the next method that we have written, object.values, it will return what? An array of values. So I will write here what? it returns an array of values. Okay, that is what it is going to do. Okay, now how we have to use it? Okay, so we are going to use it like object dot keys we will write, and in this parenthesis we will pass our object. So I will write here obj. Okay, so obj is nothing but our object. Okay, and here what we are going to write now, object dot values we will write, and in this parenthesis we will pass our obj. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. And if we consider this input, okay, for this particular thing, so let us come here and let us just comment it and write it here. So for this case, first time this method when you use, it is going to give you what? Object keys. Okay, and in the second one, it is going to give us the object values, okay, in the form of an array. So that is what we are getting it. Okay, but the output is what? We have to store it inside another array, right? And this will be the sub array of our main array, right? So for that, we will come here and we will declare an empty array. Okay, and inside that we will pass our array of keys and array of values. Okay, like this. Okay, now let us put this array of keys and we will put our array of values also. So let us put it over here. And now when you finally print your result, you will get the final output, right? That is what we wanted, correct? So this is what we are going to do it, okay? Now let us come above at line number 9 and we will define our function name also. So what will be our function name? Convert obj to array, okay? So that is what I am going to write a function name, okay? So this will be our function name. Now let us come down and we will implement the same thing inside our function also. So I will write here what function, and our function name is what? Convert obj to arr, right? That is nothing but convert object to array, okay? Now let us quickly invoke it. So I will write here what? Convert obj to arr, and we will pass our object, okay, to this. So let us take this object and let us pass it over here as an argument, okay, and let us receive it as a parents as a obj. Okay, now let us come here and we will just console it out. So I will write here what? Console.log of obj. Okay, now let us come here and we will write here what? Node day 76 challenge and hit enter. We got here what? Our object. Okay, now let us come down and we will use our both these methods to extract the array of keys and to extract the array of values. Okay, so we will declare here variable called as a let keys is equal to, and we will write here what? Object dot keys. Okay, we are going to write it, and in this we are going to pass our obj. Okay, let us console our keys and let us see what do we get in the terminal. So I will write here console.log of keys, and let us clear the terminal and rerun it. So I will write here what? Node day 76 challenge and hit enter. If you see, we got our array which is holding our keys, right? So that is what we have got it, right? The same output. Now let us come here and we will use our another method that is nothing but object dot values. Okay, so I will write here what? Let values is equal to object dot values, and in this we are going to pass our obj again. Okay, now let us console the values also. So I will write here what? Console.log values, and we will come here and we will rerun it. So I will clear it up and I will write here what? Node day 76 challenge and hit enter. If we see, we got here what? Our array of values, right? So that means line number 30 is giving me what? Array of values. Line number 28 is giving me what? Array of keys, right? That is what we have done. So what we decided that we will declare an empty array, and inside that we are going to pass our both the arrays, right? So let us do the same thing. So I will write here what? Let result is equal to, and we will initialize this with an empty array, and inside that we will pass our keys array and our values array, right? So let us come here and do the same thing and we will just console it out. So I will write here what? Console.log of result. Okay. Now let us come to the terminal and we will test it out. So I will clear it up and we will write here what? Node day 76 challenge, and we will hit enter. What do we got? We can see here clearly that we have an array which is containing the two sub-arrays. So one is our keys array and another one is what? Value sub-array, right? So we have got the exact output what was been asked to us, okay? Now what we will do, we will come down and we will invoke it with another input objects, okay? So let us write here convert object to array, okay, and let us write the object, okay. So I will write here what x colon 10 and then we will pass here what y colon 20. Let us see what do we get. So we will come here, we will clear the terminal and we will write here what node day 76 challenge and hit enter. We got here what x and y and here 10 and 20, right? And that is where we are getting our exact output, okay. So this is what we had it. Let us invoke it one more time. So I will write here what convert obj to array. Okay, and let us pass another object. So I will write here what name colon and here we are going to write here what code with Poonam. Let us write it and let us pass here date and let us write here what today's is what 4th January. Let us write that. So I will write it over here and let us come here and clear the terminal. So I will write here what node day 76 challenge and hit enter. We got here what name and date and here we got code with Poonam and today's date, right? So that means we are getting the exact output, okay? Now let us comment out the console.log statement. So line number 26 we will comment out, line number 28 we will comment out, line number 30 we will comment out and we will clear the terminal one more time and rerun it. So I will clear it up and I will write here what node day 76 challenge and we will hit enter. What do we got? This is for the first input object. This is for the second input object and this is for the third input object. We are getting the exact output, right? Now let us have a quick recap of this particular question. Okay, so let us come above and we will read out the question. What it was being asked, we have to write a JavaScript function that takes an object and converts it into an array containing the two sub-arrays, right? So one sub-array will have the keys and another sub-array will have the values, right? At line number 5, 6, and 7, there was an input and output example, right? So that we understood how we are reaching to that output, correct? After that, at line number 9, 10, and 11, we wrote the important part of our question and we also defined our function name, right? That is nothing but convert obj to ARR, correct? Then we understood and we wrote our approach, right? So in this question, we have to use what object.methods, right? What were the methods? Object.keys and object.values. What does object.key return? It is going to return an array of keys, right? And what does object of values is going to return? It is going to return an array of values from that particular object, right? Then at line number 32, we declared here an empty array, right? And in that we were